Wabarakatuh. I believe all of you have already known what subject today is. So, first of all, let me introduce myself. I am Rizqy Akbar, and I will be your teacher throughout this semester, and I will be teaching about pronunciation. I believe some of you may have wondering, why do we have to study about pronunciation, and why do we have to know how a word is supposed to be pronounced? Well, you're not wrong. In fact, that is a good question before we begin this meeting. So, without any further ado, let me explain today's subject. Let us begin with the definition. What is the definition of pronunciation? Pronunciation is the way in which a word or a language is spoken. A word can be spoken in different ways by various individuals or groups, depending on many factors such as the duration of the cultural exposure of their childhood, the location of their current residence, their ethnic group, or their education. Well, some of you may have watched Harry Potter's movie, right? And some of you may have wondering, why do they have different pronunciation? Well, in order to answer this question, is the answer on that question is already on the material that I gave you, which is the fourth point that I read. And the answer from me to that question is because they are using a different pronunciation accent. In Harry Potter's movie, they are using British pronunciation accent, and meanwhile we use American pronunciation accent. How is that possible? In order to find out, let's move on to the next slide. Here I have two words examples. I believe all of you, each and every one of you, will pronounce these two words the same way like each other. So I will have to need someone to read these two words for me. Yes, please read these two words for me. Thank you for reading that. Like I said, you read these two words the same way like each other. In fact, that these two words can be pronounced in two different ways. Yes, that is a good question. How is that possible? I'm gonna use the previous example, like British and American pronunciation accent. That is what we are going to learn today. Let's move on to the next slide because I have more explanation to you guys. So this is the most important material in the subject, which is phonetic. Phonetic is a branch of linguistics that focuses on the production and classification of the word's speech sounds. The production of speech looks at the interaction of different vocal organs. For example, lips, tongue, and teeth to produce particular sounds. Here I have two previous word examples, and I have made these two words can be pronounced in two different ways. So in order to find out how come these two words is possible to be pronounced in different ways, is please repeat after me. Water, 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 water. Cut, cut, caught, caught. So on the first number is the American pronunciation accent, and the second one is the British pronunciation accent. So until this section, I believe some of you have already realize where is the difference between these two examples, right? So until this section, is there any questions? Yes, that is a good question. So one of your friends asked that, how is that possible, sir? And what is this word inside the slash? And in order to answer the question, we will have to postpone the answer to that question. We will have to end this meeting and we will meet again on the next week. And on the next week, I will answer your question, those two questions. So this would be the last slide of my presentation. We will continue this material on the next week. So see you guys on the next week. Thank you for listening and for paying attention. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.